Hello, people on the other side of this screen. My name is Landon Booth, and this is a video kind of in the style of an overview, but meh, about a indie game called A Hat in Time. A Hat in Time is a fantastic game with charm and humor pouring out of it, and it really captured my heart, so I came up with the idea to write a script about the main parts of it. Originally, I was making this over a year ago as a fun little project, but I ended up dropping it due to my immense powers of procrastination. Uh, there was also several extra parts of the script that I cut since in context of this version of the video, it wouldn't make any sense at all. So now that I've actually fully finished the script, I hope you enjoy the video. Man, this game is great. It's just so charming, and Hatkin is an adorable protagonist, even if her morality can be questionable at times. When it comes to controlling our wholesome protagonist, the gameplay is smooth for the most part, with only occasional glitches and a somewhat janky camera that can get annoying in certain areas. But that's completely outweighed by the simple control scheme for casual play that also has the potential to create complex movement options if you experiment with it enough. Behold the power of spam dashing! Of course, having controls that are nice and smooth is good and all, but the game's main gimmick is where the gameplay shines the brightest. The power of hats, hats, and more hats. Throughout most of the game's locations, you can find a selection of yarn balls that can be used to create hats with different magical abilities. Gotta love magic items that just exist and don't at all create questions on why they're there in the first place. Anyways, almost all of the hats are essential in order to beat the game, the optional ones being the sprint hat and the time stop hat. The sprint hat being one of the most useful hats in the game, since it's unlocked practically at the start of the game and allows you to harness the power of zooms at any time is very convenient. On the other hand, the time stop hat takes an eternity to unlock, and it's only really useful in specific areas and only has a single timepiece attached to it. Certain badges with extra abilities can be equipped under the hats, but the badges and other hats will be brought up once they become more relevant in the game, so enough of that. Well then, that's about it for the basics, so now let's move on to the real soul of the game. Hold on to whatever type of hat you have on. The hunt for the timepieces begins. At the very start of the game, the Cooking Mafia evict you and your timepieces out of space because apparently they somehow own space outside of Mafia and are very strict about their traffic laws. After somehow surviving the fall from the atmosphere, you decide to help Mustache Girl take down the Mafia, mainly because you just want your timepieces back. The majority of Mafia Town missions are straightforward and teach the main mechanics of the game, while the level itself is designed kind of like a layer cake. Wonder if that was intentional, considering that all the Mafia are cooks. Anyways, after collecting some timepieces, some minor missions, you take a cannon to the top of the town to kill the Mafia boss. After that deed's done, Mustache Girl discovers the power of the timepieces and gets upset that you aren't using the power for good, storms off in a rage, and also steal half your pawns. Joke's on you, though. I spent all my pawns beforehand. Idiot. Once I stopped mourning the loss of my precious pawns that I did lose, the second world opened up, and honestly, I think this is probably the best chapter in the game. Grooves and the Conductor are both great characters, although the Conductor is easily superior and best character, heck you. It introduces the best fake swear, peck, 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 peck. And my favorite collection of music in the game. Picture Perfect just captures the entire feel of the game, and Train Rush is just a blast. I won't say all the music in this game is great. Some of them are just okay, but the ones that are great are absolutely amazing. Picture Perfect definitely makes the first groove stage enjoyable, but other than that, both groove stages are good, but not the best. Pecking Shadow Mario Owl Parade level thing. As for the Conductor's stage, Train Rush is a blast, and Murder Mystery can be fun, but the janky camera can get very annoying at times in the enclosed areas. Depending on which one wins the theater overall, is the one you fight. So either the obvious villain wins, or the kinda twist but not really twist villain wins. Either way, the boss fight is super fun. I did the conductor on my first go, but only the dialogue and background changes depending on who wins. And the Battle of Award 42 makes for one of my favorites out of the four main boss themes, even though they're all pretty good. Subcon Forest. Here's when the game goes from cute with some slightly dark things to still cute with somewhat more dark things and one very spooky thing. And no, getting your soul stolen is somehow not the spooky thing. Most of Snatcher's jobs are simple to complete: beat a mini boss, deliver mail, unclog a well, stuff like that. Then you get the Manor mission. Man, is that mission creepy. The music that plays and Hat Kid trembling on the floor whenever Vanessa appears can be kinda nerve wracking. Heck, those weeping angel statues in the fronts. Man, they just get you. Eventually, you'll lose your worth to Snatcher, so naturally he'll try to murder you, but fails because he can't outsmart a small child. He forces you to make a contract for your soul back and the timepiece on the condition that you leave him alone, but Hat Kid is too wholesome for that and continues to visit his home anyways. Don't worry, Snatcher will get his sweet payback later on in the game. Oh no. Guess I have to talk about Alpine, don't I? For some reason, I just really don't like this chapter. Traveling between the levels is a chore, and only 2 of the 5 missions I can say that I enjoyed somewhat. Lava Cake is short and sweet, but why does it exist? The other areas make sense for the most part, and then there's just a cake made out of lava in the middle of the mountains. Cool. Birdhouse is an okay area, made interesting by how easy it is to find ways to the end that isn't just going through the straight pathway. Twilight Bell is a boring maze which only has the purpose of getting more out of the Dweller Mask. Windmill. Pecking Windmill. I hate this level so much. It's not hard, it's just really long and boring and tedious. It's practically a vertical auto-scroller. Joy. Unfortunately, this stage had the pleasure, in quotes, of getting its own Death Wish variant, and Death Wish is a can of worms that's going to be opened later. Then Spread the Illness is overall dull by just revisiting the different mountain points and then backtracking multiple times, which, as I mentioned earlier, is already annoying. Listen, I get that you can just do the levels in any order you want, thus making it open world, but Subcon fills the role of open world so much better, it's much less annoying. But that's just my opinion. Rumble, mumble, grumble, mumble. Originally, those 4 were the only chapters before the finale, but after a few years, 2 DLC chapters came out and added the Yakuza Subway and the Arctic Cruise. The cruise has the fewest missions out of all the chapters except for the finale, making it the shortest one out of all of them, still, except for the finale. But for how little the level is used, there's a good amount of space to explore. After boarding the ship, Hat Kid ends up doing chores all across the boat with a limited time to complete each one, and soon things spiral out of control into a mass ball of panic as you realize that you have to get a billion things to do at the opposite side of the ship and then proceed to get lost on your way there, since despite it being a straight level, it's still quite easy to get lost. Once the panic of doing chores is over, Hat Kid decides to recreate the Titanic and hecking rams the boat into an iceberg, resulting in the almost massacre of some adorable seals and some baby owls, until Hat Kid goes back to rescue them from the collapsing ship. And then somehow finds a timepiece while drifting through freezing cold on a small raft. And that's why you should never let a kid control a ship. Never ends well. The second DLC level is the second and last free roam in the game, and isn't nearly as bad as Alpine. The entirety of the chapter takes place in an underground subway metro filled to the brim with some highly suspicious Yakuza cats that definitely won't beat the stuffing out of someone for quick pay. Somehow Hat Kid ends up working for the boss of the Yakuza to look for the timepieces, and every time you do find one, you have to reluctantly hand over the timepiece to the cats, or else they'll break your tiny kneecaps. Jeez, what a bunch of pecs. Anyways, in order to get the timepieces, in the first place, you have to traverse a multitude of subway paths and alleyways, each in its own color quadrant of the chapter. And strangely enough, the Yakuza usually aren't much of a threat, mostly just other easy enemies and speeding cat trains that'll send you into the abyss if you miss a jump. So, just the average day for Hat Kid. Once you've collected all the timepieces, it's time for yet another instance of Hat Kid's lack of morals as she steals from the hecking Yakuza boss, gets a very large hit placed on her that attracts the entirety of the metro, and is only able to escape because the boss forgets that she has corrupt cops on her roll and decides to scram before getting arrested. Well, that's just convenient. Congratulations, you just robbed the Yakuza and got away with barely a scratch. Truly a terrifying but small, adorable child. At this point, a large collection of timepieces has been recovered, so now it's time to head back to whatever Hat Kid's home planet is, and Mustache Girl stole them all and has become the dictator of the planet now, with the fun addition of lava. Fantastic. Not only has Mustache Kid created herself a lava-filled castle gauntlet of hell, but she has also taken the public's approach of condemning all evil by making everyone take a number and wait their turn. But since when has something as simple as cutting the line stopped Hat Kid from barging straight into the face of judgment anyways? Mustache Girl decides to spare Hat Kid from the lava pit under the floor, but Hat Kid just wants her stuff back, and the final battle begins. One small child against another. Mustache Girl is a speedy little thief, but that doesn't matter when you can just jump and let auto-tracking wail on her until she puts up that shield that deflects all Hat Child projectiles. In possibly the strangest version of the power of friendship, Hat Kid and all the inhabitants of the planet band together to fight against the need for a hero, using the combined power to break the shield, and even getting to the point of indefinitely healing Hat Kid by all punching each other to death. Mustache Girl's defeat begins the end of Hat Kid's grand adventure. All of the timepieces return to your ship, and you're truly able to return home now. Whether or not you decide to leave behind a timepiece for Mustache Girl or not is up to you. All the acquaintances that you've met along the way try to convince Hat Kid to stay, but space travel waits for no one, so just smack him away with a broom. And end your adventure. Well, it ends the story, but there are still some challenges left to do. Do you have a death wish? 'Cause I certainly do, and oh boy is it a hell of a time. A certain DLC add-on can be unlocked once the game is over, and that add-on is the biggest thorn in my side that only jabs deeper the further that it goes on. The painfully hard challenge missions that make up Death Wish, Snatcher's revenge for losing to a small child, and he did not hold back. The challenges themselves have a large variety from timed versions of old time rifts, I'll bring up rifts in a minute, challenges that force you to fight old chapters in a handicapped way, and even EX versions of the boss fights that will make you want to curl up in a small ball and cry that an owl and a penguin keep beating the stuffing out of you. Not only do the bosses get upgraded versions of their fights, but the grand finale of all the challenges puts you into a boss rush with only 3 lives to get it done. If you want to experience pain in game form, then here it is. Despite the fact that you'll probably have your soul leave your body after dying so many times, you will be rewarded with some nice unlockables, usually being paint colors and new hat customizations. Cosmetics. The best part of any game. And this game certainly has a chunk of it. Other than Death Wish paints, there are other cosmetics that are usually unlocked through slot machines that require tokens that are found scattered throughout each chapter. Or you could just use custom levels to grind them, but that's cheating. Who would do that? Definitely not me. Another source of the occasional unlockables are time rifts. Mini stages found inside little portals that usually show up once a chapter has been completed. Depending on the rift, you'll either get a timepiece or some extra tokens and lore about whatever chapter the current rift is from. If you're using the Steam version of A Hat in Time, players are able to make and play custom rifts alongside a few other useful things to enhance the experience. I could go over plenty of more things, but this is a good cutoff point since I've said far more than anyone would care, and if I didn't, I would probably just ramble off until the end of time. Also, my computer is currently on fire, stopping me from playing further. Heck you piece of junk. Thank you, person who endured this video, and go eat a taco or something. See ya. Oh, and if you care to know some more stuff, like my Twitter and Discord, are in the description below. Goodbye for real now.